Welcome to this episode of my Women Empowerment Wednesday show. My name is Jessica DSB. Enjoy this episode.
We are live. Happy Wednesday. Happy Women Empowerment Wednesday. Welcome to all of you that will be joining us live. If you're just joining this week, my name is Jessica. I'm a mom, 2 times best international selling author. I'm a world passionate traveler, as well as the founder of the Women Empowerment Wednesday show. Super excited to be with all of you today. What is the Women Empowerment Wednesday show? What I've been doing? It's a weekly Facebook Live where we have conversations that are empowering, inspiring, touching, with a special guest every week. And this is not only a conversation with me and the special guest. This is a movement. We want you all that you're watching to take these conversations and bring them into the lives of the people that you care about, your friends, your family. Have those conversations, bring it up, as well as join this conversation. So comment as you're watching. If you're watching live, type live. If you're watching replay, let us know as well. What do you like best about this conversation every single week? And what kind of topics would you like to hear in the next coming weeks? Very, very, very important for me to have all of you guys together and joining this conversation and this movement. Again, I have a Facebook group, Women Empowerment by Jessica DSB. So join the Facebook group. I have all the last week's Facebook Lives in there and tons of empowering content as well. So I look forward to connecting with all of you. Very, very special day today because I haven't been doing a Facebook Live for the last 2 weeks. So for the people that have been following me, I was very sick. I was in the hospital. However, I am back in my healthy self, thank God. And I'm very, very happy to be back because I surely missed being here with all of you that are going to be watching today. So with all of that being said, let me introduce our special guest today, a young gentleman I got to meet. I'm not sure how long it's been, over 2 years probably, maybe-ish. Time flies. Mr. Bob Lucas, who he is a real estate broker, 25 plus years. Woo, that's impressive. Passionate, certified life coach. I can't wait for you to share more about what you do and who you are. Active, born again Christian. And I want to really specify a very active young man because he did mention to me yesterday or the day before, at least 5,000 steps every day, which I was so impressed, right? So welcome to the call, Mr. Bob Lucas. It's so exciting to have you here today.
Jessica, what a pleasure and a humble honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So what I'd like you to do is share a bit more about who you are.
Well, Jessica, I would like to check back first, and I'm going to ask you, did you start this all on your own?
No. So the Women Empowerment Wednesday show, we started in April with Jamie Yamanaka. We did together about 4 or 5 episodes together, and she went on to do other projects, and I decided to continue this on my own. But of course, I'm not on my own, right? Because every week I'm joined with a special guest. So that's the excitement and the beauty of the show for me.
And why I asked that question is you're proving a very solid point, is that you didn't do it on your own. You started it with a buddy. And what a way, an effective way to start things is to have a buddy that's on the, in effect, the same page as yourself, has the same basic goals. Now, there's one other thing that I think I'd like people to be aware of is that prior to the start of the show, how do you start each and every show?
I start every show with a prayer.
Ah,
Yeah, and I do a little bit of the Tony Robbins, like jumping, in the mirror. I can do this. And I
okay.
love that you asked that question. You know why? Because this show is about being real and raw. And I love that you asked that because this is my routine. I look in the mirror, I got this, and I pray and I come and I'm ready for the show.
And so, for those that are meeting me for the first time,
Mm,
why I ask you those questions is first for others that are so enthusiastic followers of you and sharing with you on a weekly basis, for them to be aware that you start each of these shows with a prayer.
mm,
And in turn, the effectiveness of prayer and how that can help. And as a born again Christian, I, I totally believe in prayer. I've seen it work so effectively, just magnificently in my own life, 3 or 4 times in just the past 3 or 4 days alone. And
mm,
so it's certainly something that is extremely helpful for me on a day-to-day basis. And knowing your basic walk with the Lord, it's of significant help to you as well.
mm.
And it's a source that any of your listeners, any of us, are totally free to choose into and
Yeah.
to use that extra power. So I wanted to share that. One of the other really important aspects up front, so that we don't shoo all of the visitors away, is that if you ask me to choose between a relationship with the Lord and religion, I'll choose a relationship with the Lord
Mm,
every time.
mm,
And through the meetinghouse.com, which is the church that I'm currently attending, that uh, they are going to be doing a series on the death of religion.
mm,
And their key focus is on Jesus, the Son of God. And with that focus, they are putting the focus on having that relationship with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And it just is amazing that when you choose into that kind of a relationship, what an awesome relationship it truly is.
mm. Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you. So let me ask you again if you can share. You did, share about who you are a little bit, but a little bit more about really more details about if somebody's just watching you now for the first time, what do you want to say about who you are?
Well, I am a father of two delightful children that I am so very proud of. In turn, I have now 6 grandchildren, and
Woo!
just delighted and so proud of each and every one of them. With that, having been a real estate broker over the last 25 years, prior to that, I was in recreation facility management, recreation and tourism consultant with the province of Ontario,
Mm,
Ministry of Tourism and Recreation. And just I've been blessed to be involved in many different ways. I worked, in a sense, uh, unsuspectingly my way up through the United Way of Kingston and District to the stage that in 1984 I had the pleasure of being deputy campaign chairman, and in 1985 became the campaign chairman. And what an awesome experience. 1986, I had the pleasure of being the reluctant chairman of the Kingston and District Committee for the Rick Hansen Man in Motion tour, and to get to meet Rick firsthand and the awesome work not only that he did, but he's been doing ever since with him and the extensive funds that were raised. He's done such a tremendous amount. And in 1987, I actually threw my hat into the political ring and became the PC candidate for Frontenac-Addington, which is immediately west of Kingston, Ontario, and didn't get beat. Sorry, I wasn't successful, but had a bunch of young people enthusiastically supporting me, and we came very close to success. So, and that was really exciting. So I've had a real variety of challenges in my lifetime, and yet I am so thankful for the challenges because through each and every challenge, it's through those that I have grown the most.
And that brings me into today's topic, right? Today's topic is transitioning to your greatness. And my first question to you is, why choose that topic?
Well, I've been separated and divorced for the last 5.5 years, and it's the last thing that I really wanted. I made a commitment till death do we part, and that's where I was at. However, it didn't work out that way. And through the period of time since, I've been able to take all of the 4 levels of training through a company called Clemmer and Associates, which is a personal and leadership development corporation. They function worldwide. And the simple tools that I've gained from that, and all of the tools, all of the exercises that they do in each of the levels of training are based on Christian principles. And by having gone through that, it's training that I otherwise likely would not have got if I were still married. And in turn, I have just grown so much as a man. I have become a far better communicator, which is part of the problem of causing divorce. I now can not only deal with business conflict that I've been doing effectively for many years, but I can now deal with personal conflict. And one of the learnings that I've had through that is that in dealing with conflict, my past mode was avoidance. And that's the one that I used all the time. However, and I used avoidance because I thought if I deal with conflict, it's going to drive me apart from the other person. And that's the last thing I wanted. What I've learned is that when you can deal with conflict in a loving, caring way, that it does exactly the opposite. It draws you even closer together.
Ooh, powerful. Oh my God. Let me just do a few shout outs. Hey, Cassie, Sylvie. Cassie says, a man with such experience. I take notes. I love it. Hello, Simon. Welcome to all of you that are watching. If you're watching live, type live in the comments. If you're watching replay as well, type replay. So it brings me also to something that you mentioned about when you go through hard times or difficult times and you became the victim. And then it's through that work, that personal growth work, that you realize that you were not a victim, right? But you chose to be at that moment. I'll let you put in your own words, but I can relate to that because I played the victims for years. And it's through a lot of personal growth programs, in my case, Landmark, which is very similar to what you're doing, that I realized, oh my God, I wasn't the victim. And then you can use all that hard times and take and make it as a new power and create who you are today. So let me hear what you were sharing to me on Monday.
There's a reality that you, me in separation and divorce. In effect, I was a victim, and you and what you've gone through in the past, you were a victim.
Mm.
And however, if we choose to stay
Yes.
looking at that aspect, that
Mm-hmm.
circumstance, that fact of separation and divorce in a victim with victim eyes,
Yeah.
then we'll stay there and we'll be stuck. It'll be like we have a major barrier in front of us.
Yeah.
However, through the Clemmer work, through the growing that I've done, a simple exercise they go through is they go through a victim responsible exercise.
Mm.
And so it was about a year after separation and divorce that I chose to look at that whole process coming from responsible. And when I looked at the choices that I made through that process from eyes of responsibility, taking ownership,
Mm.
it looked totally different. And it was empowering.
Mm.
And so, encouraging all of your listeners, you mainly female, mainly great ladies, but you have some men listening in here as
Yes.
well. And I
Yes.
know that because I've listened to a number of the speakers over the period of time. So
Thank you for your support, Bob.
it's been such a blessing and to see you and how you've been empowered by the very positive choices that you've made. You have,
Mm.
with maybe without having that same clarity, you have come from a position of victim and chosen into responsible. And look at you today.
Exactly. I love that. I absolutely love that. Hello, Pili. She says, hello, Jessica and Bob. She says, amen. This is a powerful conversation. We're talking about transitioning to your greatness. And I could even say turning pain into power, which is something I often say. So why choose this topic? We went over that. And so one other thing that you mentioned to me on Monday that really struck with me is when you become more self-aware, you make better life choices. So can you share an example or elaborate on that?
As a life coach, I see our basic responsibility as coaches to help people to be simply become more aware of themselves. That's mainly done by asking a lot of right questions.
Mm.
And one question can bring about another question, another. And what we do is we help people to dig deeper and deeper and pull out of them the answers. We don't need to impose our wishes and our thoughts and our advice upon people as life coaches. What we do, where I get the greatest satisfaction, and any good coach does, is being able to help pull the answers out of the individuals, because really the answers are within. And this comes back to the spiritual aspect.
Mm.
And so, with that, very simply, that as you become more aware of yourself, the reality is that you then become more aware of everyone and everything around you. As you do that, you become more aware of better alternatives. When you
Mm.
start seeing better alternatives, it puts you in a position where you can simply start making better life choices. Once you do that, you transition from being stuck,
Mm.
having barriers in front of you, or being totally shielded with a shell that you've maybe constructed yourself,
Mhm.
to the stage of being able to transition to your greatness. You start making simple step by step choices to move forward towards who you have been created to be. And
Woo!
one of the questions I forgot to ask you the other day, and so I don't know if you have the answer to it, if you've been asked it before. So the question, and is for our guest today as well, how do you eat an elephant?
I was just gonna say, this is not you asking questions to me. This is me asking you questions. I love it. I love it. I'm very spontaneous. I love this. It's funny that you asked this question because it's a conversation I have almost every week with a very special person in my life. And we always say, one bite at a time. Mm, right?
Exactly. That is and I talked on Monday with you, Jessica, about the Experiencing God small group online program that I've been led to put together after 18 times of doing the program, facilitating it with small groups, face to face, in rooms, in churches, whatever. I felt led to start it online before COVID started. And I
Wow.
was introduced to Zoom prior to COVID starting. And so, with that, when I went through the Experiencing God manual the first time, I got a good part of the way through. And what I felt revealed to me was that this whole aspect of a relationship with God is really very simple.
Mm,
And yet, we as humans tend to make it so complicated.
mm,
And so, I am so blessed. I just find that I keep things as simple as I possibly can.
mm.
And what it does is it ends up minimizing stress for me by keeping simple. And in turn, it's been revealed to me just recently that because I have virtually no stress in my life, and I have really no worry in life, and that's generally doesn't say I don't have stresses.
All the time, right?
I had a major one just this past weekend
Right.
that we touched on Monday.
Yes.
But with that, I am now aware that I can significantly affect the stress level
Mm,
and or the worry level of each and every person that I come in contact with. And
mm,
that awareness is even greater because I can affect your stress level or anyone else's in a very negative way,
mhm,
or I can do it in a very positive way by basically minimizing stress. And when we have that realization, and it's part of creating that awareness within ourselves, it's how we end up becoming more aware of others and everything around us. And so to help choose into minimizing stress, making choices for myself that minimize my stress, but in turn making choices to minimize other stress. And one of the simple examples of that is when you're feeling under pressure and for somebody to say, well, we've got a phone call that we've agreed to in the next 10 minutes. But hey, no problem. Let's make it 40 minutes. Call me in 40 minutes instead of 10 minutes. That
mm,
automatically eases the stress level within people most of the time.
mm. And it makes me think, I don't think we can say it enough, is when we are stressed out, it's like we're living in our own bubble. So you're not aware of other people. You're not aware, hey, how is Bob, doing today? How is Bob feeling today? How is my daughter? Like you're so in your bubble that it's hard to even pass that and think of how the other person's feeling. I don't think it's something we can talk about too much because it's true, it's the reality. So when you're not under that stress, or you minimize that stress, you can become more self-aware of other people. And I think it's, you know, the gift of life, you know, being aware of other people. Hello, Jessica. Hey, Onisha. Jessica says, very well said. I think it's something from prior, but thank you for joining conversation, ladies. If you're watching live, type live. I love that you're all joining us. So we're talking about transitioning into your greatness. I want to go back to when we talked about becoming self-aware. My question to you, when somebody becomes self-aware, does it have a direct link to confidence? Does let's say a woman that becomes self-aware gains confidence right away?
I think by her becoming self-aware, she's becoming aware of the choices that she has been making. And one of the simple questions that we use fairly often in life coaching is, how is that choice supporting you? And if it's supporting you well, great, continue using it. But if you're giving yourself the answer, hey, I'm doing this and it's not supporting me at all, or supporting me in a very negative way, then that added awareness puts you in a position where you can choose doing something a different way, making a different choice. And one of the recent awarenesses that I've had, and it's simply in my prayer with the Lord, that personal relationship, asking Him a simple question: Lord, what are the two greatest gifts that you have given us as people, as your children? And the two answers I got, and in order of priority, the first and foremost is really complicated. It's called love.
Mm.
He has given us love as, I think, the greatest gift of all. The second greatest gift that I have determined, and I know this can be debated for sure, but the second greatest gift that I believe He has given us is the freedom of choice. And if He gives us love, then let us absorb it and ask for an abundance of it to the stage where the love fills us. But in turn, because we have an abundance, we can pour out our love to others with freedom of choice. If we have freedom of choice, let's use it wisely. If we're using it wisely and we're making good choices that are supporting ourselves and those that we love, wow, look out, world.
That's it. And it brings me to your choice, the decision that you made of staying young. Elaborate on that, please.
Well, there are two aspects over time that I have just so truly been blessed with. The first one was in my early 50s, I had an awareness of all this talk that was going on about senior citizens. And at that time in my early 50s, I became aware that some people look at senior citizens at the age of 55. And so at that time, without all this added awareness that I now have, I chose not to become a senior. And a number of years have passed since then. And in turn, I still haven't attained the senior status out of choice, a simple choice. Now, the other is more recent, and it's just in the last few months, 6 months or so. I saw a YouTube clip on Clint Eastwood, and it's probably, people can go in and they can look at it. And Clint Eastwood was being interviewed by a country singer, and the country singer was an associate friend, and asked Clint, you're 88 years old. You're just starting to make a new movie as a director and an actor. Why are you doing that at age 88? uh, why? And his simple answer is, I've chosen not to let the old man in.
Mm.
Now, in doing that, the country singer wrote a song about don't let the old man in.
Wow.
What I need to emphasize here is that women, being equal, have the same, can make that same choice. One of the things that we talked about dating sites, that um, so many ladies on dating sites I have found are see themselves at age 40, age 50 as being old.
Mm.
And they're, of course, comparing themselves to the 20 and 30-year-olds
Yeah.
that are on the site. Well, if you want to make that choice, God gives us the freedom to do that. But if you want to choose young, and so when I'm asked how old I am, my simple response is, I'm not. And I get the question, what do you mean? How old are you? I'm not old. I'm so many years young. And so what I throw out the challenge to the guests that are watching this is, go ahead, guess how young I am.
Oh my God.
And maybe they want to throw in the chat room some of the guesses that you get, but
Right.
it really is. Um, it's encouraging, the answers I get back, but it's what's within me in my walking with the Lord, and that's who I give all the glory to. He's keeping me young.
Mm.
He's keeping me filled with energy. He's filled me with love. And
Mm.
with those ingredients, it puts me in a position where when people meet me for the first time, and I don't know if we may not have done it when you and I met the first time, and I can recall it was at the hotel just around the corner here at
Right.
an ACN event, and there were 200 people in the room. And when people uh, ask me how I am, on occasion I'll respond by saying, I'm 112%. How are you?
Ah! Oh my God.
And it's amazing. And there's a one instant transitioning to their greatness is I can see people coming up to me and they'll be looking like this.
Mm.
And they'll say, hi, Bob, how are you doing? And my response is, hi, I'm 112%. And how are you? And it's amazing the pause that occurs and how I see instantly a person transitioning before my eyes. And more than 50% of the time, I get people responding saying, I'm 113%. I'm 115%. I'm 100. The highest I've got response wise is I'm 200%. But in the meantime, in those very
Mm.
partial second or very few seconds, I'm just watching with delight that person go from there to having a great big smile on their
Right.
face. And it just seems to lift them up. By doing that, it lifts me up.
Mm. Oh my God. Totally am in alignment with what you just said. Love that. I'm inspired. I'm touched. I'm empowered by this conversation. So I hope all of you watching are the same as well. Again, what we talked about today is transitioning to your greatness. You know, we're all going to go through challenges, tough times in our lives. And how are you going to transitioning and use those challenges to bring out your greatness and becoming the best version of who you are, empower other people? I think that summarizes what we talked about today. I have one last question and we're going to start wrapping up today. What is the importance of having the women empowerment conversations with men? Why is it important?
Well, first of all, I think it's very desirable as we started out. You had a buddy starting out working
Mm,
with you to start this empowerment process, this
mm,
transitioning process for all of the women that are listening in, all of the people that are listening in. And so the buddy system, and really, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses.
mm,
And it's when we start to share and support one another that you end up being able to help me, I'm able to help you. It reminds me of a very true, simple proverb from the Bible, and it's Proverbs 27:17. And it simply says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And what
mm,
I've learned is that the filing process, if you're holding the file in one hand and you're holding the knife in the other, then as the knife is going out, being sharpened, so as I'm sharpening you, guess what?
mm,
The knife comes back and I get sharpened. And what
mm,
I've been showing is that that happens 100% of the time. So this time that we're spending today, yes, I believe I'm sharpening you, but in turn,
mm,
you are definitely sharpening me. And that's the same with any two people. So it's advantageous to have ladies supporting ladies, but also, and men supporting men. But in turn,
mm.
it's also important to have a lady supporting a man supporting a lady.
Right.
And when you get that added awareness that any communication at any time is sharpening one another and appreciating that I'm learning from you, I'm growing from you from this time we're
Mm.
sharing, it gives us a greater appreciation for one another.
Ooh, very well said. Hey, Beatrice. She says, good to see you back. Bella. Hey, Anthony Driss. Bonsoir. Hi, welcome. If you're watching live, type live in the comments. We're wrapping the call. I'm going to read the two quotes that I picked today. As I was reviewing my notes, the two quotes are very similar, but that's okay. So the first one is, when shifts and transition in life shake you to the core, see that as a sign of the greatness that's about to occur. I think that's so true. And then the second one is, every single thing that has ever happened in your life is preparing you for a something that's meant to come. Mm, right? You getting a divorce prepared you to be a life coach. Am I correct? Right? So we there's tons of examples that we can use. So I really want to have you finish the call, the last few words, what's on your heart, what you think people want to hear. Yes, go ahead, Bob.
Well, there's three or four things, and I'll be reasonably succinct. The first is that in regards to my being a born again Christian, occurred 21 years ago. Um, so with that, uh, I I know that if I weren't a born again Christian, from separation, divorce, which was the last thing I wanted, I'd be a basket case today. That I should be, but I'm not, because I've been walking closely with the Lord, and so that's been life saving for me. Uh, and in turn, the fellow Christian brothers and sisters that the Lord has put in my path since, so over the last 5 years, has been phenomenal. I heard you mention Alyssa's name, just Alyssa and Tyler are just people, examples of people that, and you,
Mm,
and Joelle, our mutual friend, people that have been put in my path, such a tremendous blessing. Real estate clients, just
mm,
recently, a couple of different clients. that have been put on my path. All of the Lord. So that's been certainly such a blessing. From there, I mentioned 112% from how am I doing? 112%. A couple of years ago, I got into a conversation around, well, when are you going to die? And this discussion occurred at age 68. And at age 68, I thought about it and spontaneously came up with the answer. Well, in my thinking, I didn't want to die at age 70. Even 80 was too close. And so my answer back was, I want to die when I'm a healthy 112.
Woo!
And so that's where my frame of mind is. I still have a number of years to go.
That's it.
In turn, looking forward to having each of those years filled with excitement and growth. From there, a couple of other things. For those that are interested in learning more about life coaching, I have a cohort that actually is down in Brownsville, Texas, who assists me on the Experiencing God online study program. With that, she and I are doing a webinar at 8 p.m. Eastern on January the 6th, which is a Wednesday evening. And then on January 7th, Noemi Salas is my coordinator, co-facilitator's name. And she and I are starting the second Experiencing God small group online study program. It's a 16-week program every Thursday night from 8 until 9:30 Eastern. And so if any of your guests listening today would like to consider either learning more about life coaching or getting involved in the small group study, which is a very simple, practical study. And tied in with that study, we have an opportunity of providing some simple coaching skills as we go along over the 16 weeks. So the first program worked out extremely well. And so with that, anyone interested, please do contact me and be happy to answer any questions and to share additional information.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Bob. And like every week, I post this video into my Women Empowerment by Jessica DSB Facebook group, and Bob will go into the comment section and put in the best way to reach him, Facebook, email, whatever you want to put, what's the best way to reach you, get in touch with him, follow what he does. I mean, we're not going to disclaim his age. I know his age because I asked him, but I'm not disclaiming it. However, like, this man is so incredible. Everything he's doing at his age and choosing to stay young. So I'm blown away, and I hope all of you that are watching are feeling the same way. Thank you very much for your time. It's always such a pleasure. I know we could have gone on for another hour easily. We had such a huge and large topic, but it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. Such a humble, incredible, loving man. So it's my pleasure to have that time with you and learning from you and being inspired. So thank you again. I will be back next week with another incredible guest. I'm super excited to have her join me next Wednesday. And I'm going to wish you a wonderful rest of Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Jessica, I'd just like to add that on behalf of all of your people that are connected here, with me having been part of it, listening in the past, that we, each and every one of us, are so happy to see you back, healthy, smiling, full of energy again. And so welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I'm so happy that I am back and I am healthy. And thank you for everybody again that really supported me messaged me, called me, prayed for me. I can't list the whole list because it's just too many and I'll forget. And thank you also to all the medical staff that took care of me, my family, my close loved ones. Cannot stress enough how grateful I am and how blessed I am to be surrounded with such incredible people. So thanks again. Do you want to say something else? Are we good? Bye, everybody. Take care.
If you have enjoyed today's episode, please share with the people that you love and care about. Jessica DSB.